What's going on, guys? My name is Marcus. This is Discover Ignite, where we discover possibilities and ignite change. And one of the best ways to discover possibilities is through books, right? That is one of the things that I like to share with you guys because you can find possibilities and perspectives through books. And so today I'm giving you guys another book review. And the book I'm actually reviewing today is called The Rise of Superman by Steven Kotler. So hold on, stick tight, let's get this thing started. Now I must say, right, I've been looking for good books lately. And over the past couple of months, I would say probably 2 months especially, I've come across a lot of books that have been really, really good. I just did a book review on Jim Kwik's book, which is Limitless, and that book was phenomenal. From that book, I found this book, Rise of Superman. And this book, I must say, I got another one that went right into the top 5 because this book is phenomenal, right? It talks about flow. And you know, flow is essentially that state in which you lose track of time and when you lose sense of self. And Steven Kotler talks about that phenomenally through this book. But what's interesting about this book is how he's done this, right? His story is quite intriguing, right? He used to be a journalist that went out and essentially did journalism on, you know, extreme sport athletes back when I was growing up, right? In the Tony Hawk era and all that area when people started, you know, jumping and doing some, you know, jumping off of cliffs, cliff diving, and doing some really crazy and intense stuff, right? And realizing that these people that were doing this, right, they were an extreme sense of flow. So much so, it almost made them superhuman, right? Your brain becomes superhuman. Your brain peaks at such a performance, right? Your brain can't get any better, right? You have to be tuned in, right? Because you have to realize that you need automatic feedback as quick as possible when you're doing these extreme sports, right? And so in talking about that, this book, right, it does talk about extreme sports, right? This particular book does. Now I know he has a bunch of other books, which I'm actually getting ready to read the one on business as well next, but he takes that perspective, right, and then he dissects it. So he talks about extreme sports throughout the beginning of the book, just trying to give you perspective on how you get into the state of flow, or how these people were getting into the state of flow and how they found out about the state of flow, right? Though it's more than just losing sense of track of time and self, but you have to realize that there are other things that he does recommend in the book to look at when you are trying to get in that state of flow. And you realize that when you come into the state, right, and this is one thing that I'm really picking up and trying to incorporate more into what I teach, is the fact that, you know, you have to be in that state of flow to be able to eliminate, right? If you can eliminate your sense of self, right? This gets rid of that anxiety, depression, all those labels, tags that you have on yourself, right? And it allows you to just do the work, right? And that's what's important. And that's what I generally took from this book, is to find your flow, be a flow finder, right? That's ultimately what I came from this book. If you can seek flow, right, you can find happiness. You can find all the things that you're looking for in life that, you know, we want to go find some temporary thing, right? Or we live a life that is not exciting. We have to realize that we always seek change. And flow is one of the perfect things for that. And, you know, not to say to go out and pick up some extreme sport, right? Because that's not what I'm saying. I'm not trying to put you in danger here. There are other ways to find flow, and that's what the book talks about as well, is that there's other ways to do it. But you have to, again, find those things. And to find flow, when I talk about becoming a flow finder, right, is you have to realize that you're looking for perspective, right? If you have very little perspective on things, on different options you have available in your life, you need to seek more perspective first, and you will eventually find flow, right? You need to be that flow finder, but to do that, you have to look for perspective. Maybe you have something in your life that you do lose sense of self and time, right? That is the particular thing, essentially your purpose, right? That's what I would consider your purpose, right? Is that thing that you lose sense of time and self because you can get lost in it for hours on end and it doesn't seem like work. It doesn't seem like you're really putting forth any effort because you're just flowing at the time, right? And that's ultimately where you want to be at, and to be able to achieve in your life. And you realize that once you start becoming in this flow, right, when you're losing your sense of self, you realize that, man, I don't have anxiety anymore, and I'm starting to become more confident because I'm doing this thing. And then, you realize that you start getting to a point to where sometimes you may lose interest, right, in those particular things, because we have to also understand that we do evolve, right? We become used to that flow, and like anything, right, flow, you may eventually build up a tolerance, right, in that particular area that you have flow in, and maybe you lose interest, right, and that's okay. But then you become, this is why I say become a flow seeker, because then you move on to the next thing. Well, what's the next thing I can do, right? And this is the great way to build out your mind, great way to build out your confidence, is by being a flow seeker and seeking the next thing, getting a new perspective, being open. That's, again, another thing that's extremely important, is to be open about these things and not think you know something, right? We have a lot of conditioned beliefs. We have to realize that we have to just let that stuff go and go around to the next thing. What is the next thing I can do that can help me and get into those things that I want to do, right? And find that flow again. And you realize that you can build something, right? Maybe it's confidence. You find something that builds your confidence, right? Doing confidence is one of the easiest things, in the fact that you have to realize that you have to do things that are in your control to build your confidence. So you have to do those little things every day, right? So I talk about daily objectives and stuff a lot, because if you can knock those out, that builds your confidence up slowly but surely, right? You're compounding confidence because you're making a decision. You are actively making that decision to do it, so it starts building up your confidence. Then you extend your comfort level out slowly but surely. You only have to do this a little bit at a time, and you realize that, once what seems so far away is now a lot closer, right? So again, something to keep in mind. So you want to, again, find those things that are in flow. Now back to the book, right? This book is really opened up my mind about a lot of different things, right? And it's something I've always seen, and I've always said, right, is your purpose would be something that you lose sense of time, right? And this book introduced even more concepts to me that I really did enjoy. And again, it's a book that I think everybody should read. Everybody should understand what flow is, how it works, and to realize that it can put you in a real sense of focus, right? It can get you into a lot of different things that will help you enjoy life, right? Find happiness, because a lot of people seek happiness and they don't know where to look. And this book is a good book to help guide you in that way, right? To become a flow finder and how to do that. And as far as like any cons to this book, I would have to say there's absolutely none. I know I'm horrible about like saying cons for books, but this book, again, is probably like my number 2 now, my 2 favorite book. Again, I've gone over a lot of different books in the past 2 months that have really cracked my top 5. And again, I don't just change out this list, right? This list is a lot of books that have really helped me change perspective. And if it doesn't change my perspective, it doesn't crack my top 5, right? I really, again, go through and try to trim out a lot of the garbage, right? Because a lot of people will throw up top 5s and particular books, but again, my top 5 is based off of development, right? I am very much into development and improving myself, and the top 5 of mine are ones that will change perspective. They've changed my perspective, and so that's why they made the top 5. And this book, again, I think is number 2 for me. I just read the Jim Quick book, so that is number 1. I believe that is really internal, and this is almost, they're almost like 1 and 2 like need to go together because they are that good. But nonetheless, this book was great. It was fantastic. I recommend it to everybody out there. Again, they should read it. They should be a flow finder, and you realize that by doing this, that you start enjoying, again, life better. And it's a must read, right? Like if you have kids that are growing up, almost adults, I believe this book is one of the books that should be a recommended read, that they should read no matter what. So with that being said, this book I'm actually going to leave down in the description below. Remember to like the video and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And until next time, I will see you guys later.